Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and with me tonight, I have two special guests in studio, Adam Maxwell. Adam, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody? It's too hot in Texas.
Adam's a little out of his element here. There's no snow on the ground, so he doesn't know what to do with himself. And joining us from Nevada, Mr. Pete Rensing of USSL, UML, URL, UPL, iScope, all the acronyms. Pete, welcome to the show, man.
I get stuttered too because it's hot here also.
But it's a dry heat.
Yeah. It's like 112 today. It's like a year one safari land. We were all dying.
Oh man. Yeah, you can keep that 112. I'll keep the 91 that we have here in Austin today. So guys, welcome to the show. So Amax is down in Texas on work, and he got off a little bit early, cruises over the studio, and boom, got a in-studio co-host, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah, first time in studio, but yeah, went and met with some dudes who do things, and that wrapped up pretty early. And so what am I going to do with the rest of the afternoon? Obviously, we're going to go to Three Gun Show headquarters and do some casts.
Yep, and we had Mr. Rensing scheduled for today, and Pete, I'm glad to have you, man. I'm glad we finally were able to connect here, and we're doing it live, and we have an audience listening to and watching us on the YouTubes right now. And if you're part of that audience, just go ahead and drop any questions you have in the chat. We'll get to most of them as they come along. Pete, I heard you've been on vacation, just been kind of relaxing the last couple of weeks. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, just chilling, relaxing, not doing much, none of anything. Drilling.
I don't know if you know how to do that.
It's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty busy, but we're having a great time with it. I'd be honest with everybody. I'm not keeping up. It's pretty difficult to keep up right now, but I got a lot of good people helping me out on the sides, and yeah, we just got a lot of good things happening, and sky's the limit, and I keep being motivated to push harder. So.
Yeah, man, just in the little circle of my friends that have been attending your matches, we've got Cedar Valley just happened in Utah that you were involved with as well. Wyoming Governor's match is coming up really soon here in 2 weeks or
2 weeks,
3
man.
weeks or something like that?
3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I leave in 1 week. I'm going to spend 2.5 weeks on the ground there to make sure that my team does a good job and we put together the best Wyoming Governor's match ever. So pretty stoked.
And so I want to get to all the other stuff that USSL has going here, because it's been like, I think 14 or 15 months since you've been on the show here, and you've been doing a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of new programs and a lot of developments in the USSL world. Luckily, Amax goes to a lot of your matches, and so he usually comes back and gives the match recon. We get a little bit of update what's going on in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I try to go to as many of them as I can. Still chasing that elusive pro coin. I'm gonna get one. But I've been just a little bit short since last fall, since my incident. But yeah, I really like the USSL program and UML in particular. I've been a fan of every match that UML's put down, and I go to as many of them as possible. It pains me greatly that I won't be able to go to this one, but
so I've shot let's see, I think 3 UML matches this year. 1 club match in Liberty Hill, 1 club match at ETTS in Waxahachie, and then Pete, when I saw you, we shot the Kalash Bash in Navasota, which was a URL match, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that was kind of last minute. I mean, I was glad that they gave me a call to come out and help them out. And I said, the rule set's there and we can easily make additions to the divisions and whatever we need to do to make sure that match is cool and good to go. And I didn't really design that match. I was just there kind of answering questions, helped out with stats and stuff at the end. But yeah, URL is actually growing. It's getting a little bit bigger. Wasn't really on the radar to really work hard on probably till like 2020, but I've got enough clubs going. They just did a big championship up in Michigan, and there's some people running UML or URL, and I think I think there's definitely a handful of clubs jumping on board right now with URL on the side of their other UML matches, and obviously, IDPA, USPSA, other organizational stuff. So I'm excited about it.
Where would you say URL is hottest right now regionally?
I don't think I could even say anywhere it's hot yet. I mean, here we've been running it for a long time, and we've been toying with all 3 different types. We have a close, medium, and far in the URL rulebook, kind of like we have an expedition and a traditional scoring system in the UML rulebook. With the URL, we had several clubs that hit us up because they were in that same 50 to 75 yard range bays with no rounds allowed over the berm. And so we gave them an opportunity to run a rifle match inside that field. Now, obviously, for those of us who like long range rifle, we're not really reaching out with the rifle. So we started talking about smaller targets. We've built our new 4x6s, T-post targets that we'll be bringing to Wyoming. So you take a 4x6 T-post target, you put that thing out at like 60, 70 yards. People start doing weird things like dropping prone in the middle of shooting areas because they think maybe standing there and shooting it's fine. But if you ever shot a plate rack at 60 yards, that's an 8-inch target. Now you got a 4-inch wide target. It gets pretty dicey. So we're trying to give them some options. We play with the golf balls. We did a couple of different things at Cedar Valley, just trying to find a way. And then we have our mid that goes out to 300-400 yards. And then our long, actually, we're trying to hopefully push into the long ranges with some ranges that will allow us where we can bring in the 6.5s, the 6 Creedmoors, the Valkyries, some of the other guns, and push out to that 800-yard range.
I'm in. Count me in for that.
Yeah,
so far,
You are an evil, evil man.
So far, the 2 matches that I've shot have been close-up matches. I guess they probably fall under the near one. The Kalash Bash, I think the farthest shot was like 1 or maybe 95 or something.
Near one. Yeah, that was a near one. And then
and then the one in Waxahachie, I think we had out to 200 yards. So I'm down to bust out the 6.5 and come shoot some 800-yard matches.
I really want to do. I'm working on a URL match that'll encompass both your carbine, your short barrel, your 5.56, if you will, and then your bigger gun. So it's a 2-gun match, but it's 2 rifles. You run around with your 6 Creedmoor, your 6.5, your Valkyrie, whatever you got, and your 5.56, and you're gonna work in and out of both of them.
According to the interweb, that should sell out pretty fast.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there won't be any lawns that need to be mowed that weekend.
I know. I've got a list of like 30 people that have been posturing about that type of match for like the last 4 years. So if you want me to just mail you that list.
Wow, that's interesting because I got a pretty good name sponsor that's been hitting me up on maybe trying to put that thing together. And obviously I'm super busy, so it's been hard to put 100% focus onto it. Right now, 100% focus went into Grands and then helping the districts, and now it's Wyoming. So it's possible. It's happening. There's talks.
Oh, we lost Pete. We're gonna vamp. Oh, he's back. So Pete, you said you had someone that reached out to you that might want to be a part of that match. We kind of lost you there at the last part of your sentence.
Oh, you lost me. Yeah, no, I've had a pretty good name sponsor that I've been chatting with about possibly creating this thing. Obviously, location is super key, and so we're trying to work on the details. And I've just been super slammed with Grands and then the districts and now Wyoming. But it's in talks. It's in talks. I'm not sure when, but it's in talks. It's
might I recommend Texas? Selfishly.
Texas, or very close to Texas. There's a couple places very close to that area. I'd like to move a lot of stuff central. I think it's our best chance to get people from both coasts to come together. So central matches are definitely in my future.
Yeah, that's good to hear. All right, Pete. So I want to talk more about USSL, the overall organization, and things like that. But first, like the reason that we're here is to talk about the Wyoming Governor's match. So let's give that the amount of time that it deserves here, and let's get into it. So I've shot the Wyoming Governor's match both years that it's occurred. This will be my 3rd year, and being from Denver, Colorado, with having Cheyenne only 90 minutes away, and going to school in Fort Collins, and it was only like 40 minutes away. And I think it was like I probably shouldn't mention that it was the only place to buy beer on Sundays at the time, but
you can buy a lot more there now.
Yeah, but Wyoming has like a special place in my heart, right? So when the governor's office came to me before the first match, and they're like, hey, we're going to be doing this Wyoming day at the range. we're going to eventually be doing a match, I was like all in. Let's be a part of this. Let's see what we can do. So I'm pumped to hear that you're a part of the match this year. So let's talk from like soup to nuts. So what is your role in the Wyoming Governors match? And then we'll get into like what we can expect for competitors that are going to the match.
Well, at this point, I'm the MD for the match, 100%. At first, when I came a part of the match last year, I was planning on coming out last year. My team came out and built a stage. I think it was stage 8. And last minute, I couldn't come. My mom got sick, and I had to stay behind. So that was pretty disappointing to me. I really wanted to be there on a bigger part. But as soon as that match was over, I was asked to be a bigger part this year, last year. And at first, I was asked to be the MD, and I decided to be the co-MD or assistant MD to Buddy. Now at this point, I'm 100% the MD. My team is coming out there to put on what I believe is going to be one of the best ones ever, because we'll be able to style it our way based on the fact that we have designed all the stages. We know exactly what we're getting into. I did a site tour of the range. I've been posting some videos on social media of walking around the natural terrain and cool stuff like that. So yeah, I'm 100% on board, 100% putting this thing on the ground. And at this point, if anybody has any questions when they get to the match, I'll be the MD to shake hands and do all that good stuff.
That's awesome. So you're bringing your entire crew. So who can we expect in the other roles at the match?
Yeah. So Jeremy Reed assists me quite a bit. He's a top level shooter. He's out of Texas. He helps me out on the side whenever I need Jeremy to do anything during a match time. A lot of times I end up as a match director once the match begins, not having much of a role. So I try to do a lot of videoing and sponsor coordinating and just try to interact with everybody as best as I can. So when I need someone to back me up, Jeremy Reed's got my back. So he's assistant match director. Major Michael Ulansky's been a part of my family for over 7 years. He just recently came back after a tour overseas and offered to help out more. He was the range master for the District 1, District 2, and the Grands, and he did a phenomenal job. So I've asked him to please come up and be range master for this event. Everybody seems to kind of respect him, and he really answers the calls exactly the way I would. And at all these matches, I've been able to ride around the rover with him. And so when we get to the call and everybody starts trying to talk to me, I go, "That's your guy." And then they talk to him. And then when he's done, he comes back, we sit down the rover, we drive off, and we discuss 100% of the calls. Like, did we make the right call? What could have happened? And we're really doing a lot of work together to future the rule book and make sure we stay fair. So Major will be my range master 100%. Assisting him will be Ted Miller. He's actually the guy that does a lot of our website stuff. He's up there in the Wisconsin area. Ted will be assisting as assistant range master and also doing stats. Ted's become a big part of my organization since Bushnell last year. And Major and Ted are planning to put together a range master program that's going to help us out in the future there. Pat Daniel's going to be our quartermaster with a couple other people assisting him in the mornings before they turn to their senior stage manager duties. And then, I can't give you the whole list of senior stage managers, but a lot of names that were at the match last year that I've offered to step back up again this year. One name in particular, Charlie Brown. This guy's the first guy to ever run me on a clock at a multi-gun match 10 years ago. Called me up. He's been at the game for a while. Called me up, said, "Hey, man, you want some help in Wyoming?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want Charlie Brown back." So Charlie Brown will be there. Casey Ryan, Tony Torres on registration. And, and then a whole list of squad leaders, including some state assigned workers that are going to help us out. We're going to give them some lessons on practice score, and we're going to have them run around as squad leaders. We implemented the squad leader program at District 2, and it was met with a lot of positives. So that's my team, and we're 100% coming. And I got Cody Leeper coming to help me build, but then's got to go back to a military duty. And a couple other people are going to help me build early on. I think Cord from California and a couple other people offered to help, but big team.
Can you explain the squad leader process or concept? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, yeah, so that's something new. We started talking about it earlier in the year. We started implementing it District 1, and then District 2, we did it full time. So rather than putting two people, i.e. two ROs on a stage, and then a squad shows up on the stage and typically has somebody on that squad that's been pointed out as squad mom. And a lot of times it's the girl and it's somebody. And then when that squad pulls up on that squad pulls up on the stage, and then there's some staff there, and they're trying to find out who's in charge and what's the shooting order and who's first and where's all your people. We felt that it would be better if we had somebody that rolled with the squad. And while that individual's with that squad, within the first 3 or 4 stages, they have now learned the shooting order. They have the shooting order. They can coordinate with the staff when they get to the stage. So now the squad leader shows up and goes, hey, here comes my squad. I got one guy over there in the bathroom, but he'll be right here. Here's our shooting order. This guy's going to be first. Hey, guys, get over here and let's get to work. And so it kind of puts a little bit more of a customer service person in the role on the squad versus somebody on the squad that's trying to shoot a good match.
Yeah.
And we tried it at District 2, and it went really well. And in fact, on both sides, the squad leaders actually said they had more fun interacting with that squad full time than just sitting on a stage all day. And some of the top level shooters, like Craig Outson was one that came to me and pulled me aside and said, man, that system is the hotness. It is so much better that we had somebody that knew us and knew what was going on. And when we showed up on the stage, we kept doing our job, and they went over and interacted with the senior stage manager and put everything together. So we'll be doing that 100% at Wyoming.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah, you know,
I'm so mad I didn't think of it.
A Girl and a Gun does that in their Fall Fest, and it's actually a third person. They have a range officer, scorekeeper, and then a designated they call them squad dads because most of the time it's a dude, I think. But Aaron Hayes was a squad dad, mom, whatever, squad coordinator for
lieutenant.
What's that?
A lieutenant.
I don't know if I'd call him that, but I would never salute Aaron Hayes. His hair's too long. He's a hippie. Just kidding. Love you, Aaron. But no, where was I going with that? Thanks for interrupting me, Adam. This is why I do it solo.
You're welcome.
He was saying it was one of the greater experiences that he had because, like you said, Pete, you get to know the people on the squad. You get to interact with them. You get to spend a lot of time with them and help them through their match. It's really cool. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I can't say I 100% came up with it, so I'm not going to take any credit for that. But my team started talking about it, and honestly, right now it's really difficult to staff a match. We do too many matches down here in Vegas, so I run my crew thin. And so this gives you the opportunity, especially when you have ghost squads, to drop the numbers of the people you need. Because in a District 2, where we had literally only half the match was there, and so we had ghost squads on every other stage. And so rather than having 2 people sit around for an hour waiting for a squad to get there, we had a senior. That senior could roam. He could go next door and assist if he needed to. He could clean up his stage. He could tighten up steel. He could paint, do whatever. And then the squad leaders were just with those 5 squads. And so we had a little bit less staff on the ground, and the outcome was better. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. Like now you don't have those holes where the staff is sitting around. That's awesome. Yeah. So Kerry Palmer is in the chat, and he said squad leader concept was great. So that's good to hear.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
That's one thing that I like about USSL in general is there is this old stodgy bullshit in 3-gun where it's like, well, this is the way we've always done it. It's like, well, that doesn't mean that it makes any sense or that we should continue doing it now that we have the internet and like you said, colored pencils instead of crayons. But y'all are willing to try new stuff, which is cool. And it's not every idea is great, but I like the fact that like new things are being tried rather than just saying, oh, that'll never work. That's not the way we've always done it, which I come from aerospace. I spent 8 years at Lockheed Martin, and I can't tell you how many times I heard that specific thing. It's like, oh, that'll never work. That's not the way we've always done it. And it's super frustrating. So definitely a pet peeve of mine. So it's cool to see innovation.
Cool. Yeah, we're having fun with it. I mean, I just basically have a team of guys that I just throw things at them on a regular basis and say, I don't want to hear history. I don't want to hear that's the way it's always been done. If it's not unsafe, there's no reason why we can't find a way to implement it. So we keep the book as free and as open as possible. And that way, as many match directors around the country that want to run based on their terrain, their range rules, their style, their shooters' wants and wishes, if it's not unsafe, we should find a way to implement it. Obviously, we have a few things that we've identified, and other than that, we try to keep it pretty darn free.
Yeah, Jeremy Moore is another person like that that's always willing to try new stuff, and so I really, I guess, I admire the people that are willing to step out there and try new things. And like sometimes it doesn't work, and you got to be like, well, sorry, we tried that and it didn't work. We're going to go back to doing the way, but just doing the same thing just for the sake of inertia is kind of dumb.
Yeah, I had a good hour-long conversation with him earlier this year, and actually interested in some of the things that he does at his match and implementing it into our rule set. Definitely had some cool ideas and some cool things that he does at his match that I really like.
Yeah, and he's like you. He's got like a really cool culture at his range, and a lot of helpful people that it just didn't pop up out of nowhere. It takes like a long time to get that kind of culture in a range.
Yeah.
So yeah, Max knows, but yeah. All right, so we've covered the staff. We covered the squad leader sort of format. Now, so again, I'm coming to the match this year. It's gone back to a 3-day format. Is that right?
Sir.
We're going to be shooting Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yes, sir.
All right. So how many stages are we shooting this year?
Went to 12 stages.
12 stages?
12 stages.
I don't think I've ever shot 12 stages in a match.
Well, welcome.
I have.
Well, you shot P. Rensing matches, so.
I kind of sometimes keep thinking about backing back up to just 10-stage matches, but we have a set of bylaws that kind of separates out our level 1, 2, 3, and 4 matches, and it's becoming a level 4 Northwest Territory Championship. It has to be more than 10 stages. So when I did my psych tour, I found an easy way to do 11 stages, and then once I got to 11, I was like, man, I could do another one right over there, and I just started arguing with myself about it. We have a couple ghost squads, so it's not like I built 12 because I wanted to put more people in the match. We have a nice full match, and we have 3 ghost squads, and they're in very strategic places for match flow. But yeah, it's 12-stage match. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be fun.
Can you explain maybe at the middle school level why it has to be 12 stages for a level 4 match? I know it's very clear to you, but could you explain?
It has to be more than 10, and really that's just where the bylaws are currently settled. We really wanted to find a way to distinguish higher level matches, and obviously we all know when we start shooting stages, we can make mistakes on stages and we can do good on stages, and it's no different than a 3K to a 5K to a marathon. The longer you make the event, the more difficult the event becomes. So rather than have to make the event so difficult based on a series of, say, 600-yard shots that only a few people can handle, when we decided to do Safariland at 15 stages, and we knew that there was nothing in that match that people couldn't do. A brand new shooter could come to that match shooting 15 base stages, and they could accomplish the mission. But the longer you go, and the 3-day format, just like golf's a 4-day format, no, it's very difficult to put it together for 4 days in a row. If you can put it together for 3 days in a row or 4 days in a row, even if the challenges aren't so difficult for every shooter, the top shooters are still going to find their ways to work themselves to that top position. So that's one of the reasons why we like the bigger format or the more match format.
I'll be honest, sometimes I have trouble putting it together for 5 stages in a club match.
Hashtag talent life.
Yeah. Max is like over here, no comment. I was expecting like a good laugh on that one, and he's just like, yep, yes you do, Dave.
Yep.
So I think the concept of differentiating between matches is really good because as Max and I have covered ad nauseum on many match recons, is we have an overabundance of air quote major matches and nothing to differentiate them from each other. If everything is a championship, then nothing's really a championship, right? That's the reason I think in concept, a overarching body over a 3-gun is a good idea, right? Granted, we're a bunch of rebels and we're never going to get there, but I think it's a good idea because it does separate out those matches and shows like which ones are level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, whatever it is. Like this match is more important than that match. That match means more than this match, that kind of thing. So I like that overall concept.
Well, and stylistically, like Pete, I know in your mind there's very, very clear differences between the various level 4 matches that you do. Stylistically, how would you describe what the Governor's Cup is going to be when held in comparison to Surefire and Safariland and Grands?
Yeah, the easy way to talk about that is it's a mix of what I do at a lot of events. So there's going to be 3 base stages that are going to be inside pistol style base, i.e. like a expedition match, like a Safariland. So everybody's going to get to experience 3 of those. And then they're going to go out and they're going to experience 5 stages out in the terrain. So basically it's a series of sporting clay areas that we're allowed to shoot on. And we've been able to fit 5 stages out in that natural terrain. In most of those areas, people are going to find a way to dissect those stages with just a couple guns. There's going to be a lot of long range on those stages, going to be slugs on those stages, going to be a lot of movement on those stages at altitude. So that whole, I don't have the ability here in Vegas to do a natural terrain match. I wish I did. And so when I went to Bushnell last year and we did a 50-50, well, here it's going to be even different. 3 stages pistol, not pistol. You're going to be using all 3 guns on all 3 of those bays. I'm going to work you through them, and except somebody that maybe tries to find their way, without transitioning to that 3rd gun, which is possible in our rule book. Most people are going to shoot 3. Then you're going to do those natural terrain stages, and then we have another series of bigger rifle style bays that are bigger than anything I have over here in Vegas, including shots out past 500. Probably going to do a 500 to possibly even 550 shot on stage 11. It'll be a mix of 6 targets, 6 long range targets that will continuously get further and further out. And then the last stage 12, it's actually just like it's a good bay, but it's basically a place where they pull dirt from and use it to make other berms. And when I started walking around that area, I'm like, hey, I could take that prop and I could put it here and I could do this and we can shoot far again. And so out of the 12 stages, I think there's 7 or 8 where we're shooting past 100, past 200. And that's you don't see that here in Vegas. I just don't have the facility to do it. So I'm pretty excited to be able to kind of reach out my skill sets as a designer and hopefully bring some stuff to some new people that haven't been able to make it down to Vegas very often.
So bring all your long range precision ammo is what I heard on that.
There's going to be I think it's 7 or 8 stages. I did a little map the other day. It's 7 or 8 stages that are going to go out there. And even on those other areas, there's going to be a 3-banger right there at 80 yards and some 4-inch targets right there at 60 yards. And yeah, so even if the shot's not 300-400 yards, it might still be a 4 to 6 MOA target.
Have you engineered any exclusive props for this match? I know you were kind of big on that earlier this year, that some of your matches were going to have specific props that weren't going to appear in other matches that are on the same range. Do you have any sort of tricks up your sleeve like that you wanted to tease?
I saw Grands had like some unique stuff that I was kind of bummed I didn't get to shoot.
Yeah, they did.
We actually had the ability.
Yeah,
we built some stuff for the rifle portion of Grands where I felt that I could test the rifle more difficult, more intelligently than I tested always in 3-gun. But yeah, I'm not dragging too many props. I'm dragging thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds of steel and a lot of that stuff up. I mean, it's a lot of stuff coming up in the trailers and multiple trucks. I know we do have a prop that I'm planning to put on stage 12. I can't say 100% that it's in because I haven't really shot off it, but I have a plan to set the thing up, cargo net, and then let people I'm going to climb up on it since I'm not shooting the match and kind of see how far I could maybe get out with it, and then maybe dictate the distance of the targets on that stage based on that prop. So other than that, it's some terrain. I mean, the tree, there's a dead tree, there's a rock. There's some just stuff at the end of a walkway that I went, well, that looks like a cool prop. We'll just use that dead tree right there.
Now, was the tree already dead or did you kill it?
No, that one's already dead. That one's already dead. And there's a couple of weird limbs hanging off. We're like, well, we might have to knock some of these off because if somebody uses it, then it falls off halfway through the match. We lose match equality. So it's just going to be a stump when we get there.
Yeah. So Amax and I shot off of a big cargo net earlier this year at a sniper match. Just saying, I have experience in this area.
Was it cool?
It was cool. It was definitely difficult, but it was really cool.
It ain't all lollipops and gumdrops, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. We got our asses handed to us in that match, but that particular obstacle was pretty cool to shoot from.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm obviously thinking about it in a 3-gun standpoint, or multi-gun standpoint, where you're going to be transitioning through 1 or 2 other guns. I know on that stage you could easily shoot all 3, and with some high-level skills, you might be able to dissect it with 2, but then you're going to finish at this prop. Hopefully be able to just kind of get on it. And then when you're done, hand your rifle over to the senior so you can get off it carefully.
Well, what about shooting the entire stage through a cargo net? I imagine it'd be kind of hard to shoot the shotgun through a cargo net.
Yeah, there'd be some. I've already had people commenting on my team like, "Are you crazy? Someone's gonna twist her ankle or something." I'm like, "Guys, we're gonna have fun. It's gonna be good."
That's right. They signed the waiver. It'll be fun.
Yep.
What's your goal for stage times on the on the stage design? I know you usually have pretty clear expectations on where you're thinking that the top is going to be and where the middle of the pack is going to be. What kind of
Yeah,
stage
definitely.
times are you
I
looking
put a
at?
lot of time into trying to figure that out because of match flow. I can't stand it when a squad ends up running up on another squad every single stage after stage after stage. So I try to do that my best as possible. And I even design each stage. Like I know stage 1, you're going to be traveling from 12, which is a quarter of a mile drive. And then you're going to go to 2 and 3, which are the 3 pistol bays. And you're going to go from 3 all the way to 4, which is another quarter mile drive. So I've made ideas to those stages and where the stage guns are and stuff like that. So I would say the pistol bays, honestly, are going to be shot the way we shoot Expedition, but a little bit longer because stages 1 and 2 have 200-yard plus shots over the berm. So instead of just being a little safari land pistol, pistol rifle shotgun stage, you're going to have to post up with your rifle and make a couple of shots, which is going to add some stage time. I'd say fastest times in there are going to be 40s. Average times are going to be a little over a minute. I'd say when you get to the natural terrain, the average time, the fast times are going to be about a minute, and the longer times are going to be close to 2. And then when you come back around the corner and you get into 9 and 10, it's strategically 9 is it's a 100-yard deep bay, but it's going to be a fast stage because you're coming from that drive. And then you're going to walk over to 10, which is going to be a big 3-gun stage with 3 bangers and all kinds of funky stuff that you guys are used to. And you're going to go to 11, which is where the long range is. It's going to be definitely a rifle to shotgun stage with slugs at the end of the farthest long range I've ever put in a match. And then you'll cruise over to 12 where that cargo net might be. So I think that 11 stage, I got a ghost squad behind 11 on purpose. I think 11's probably going to take a while. I think the top guys will be able to burn through 11 pretty good if they're doing some 1-for-1s and have good solid dope and get a good solid position. But I also think people might just go to war and timeout on 11. I'm not really a big fan of timeouts, so I want to make it as long as I possibly can. And I built ghost squads in front of that stage on purpose so that I know for a fact we don't have squads from 10 running into 11 while 11's taking too long.
I gotcha. Well, Pete, while you're talking there, I just thought of a couple questions. So I'm going to give you the classic questions that everyone asks me about a match. You ready?
Go.
Do I need a sling?
No.
No? Really? I was not expecting that one.
Thank God.
I see people putting slings in matches where like it doesn't make any sense. And like you're going to be covering several hundred yards of ground and you're not putting slings in a match?
Yep, no slings. So
all right. Okay.
There'll be a couple
Slings are done. Peace out.
Yeah, done with that. We'll talk more about slings another day. Go.
Cool. So I get to leave my 12-ounce sling at home, which means you can bring more ammo.
Yahtzee.
So this sounds like a working out of your truck match. Are we going to be able to have access to bays and stuff, or you need to bring a cart, or what's the score there?
You'll be able to drive bay to bay. So there'll be plenty of parking around bays 1, 2, and 3. We won't be using bays 4, 5, and 6. There's more pistol bays to use. I've opted not to use them and chosen to use the area behind those bays better. So there's plenty of parking there. You'll be able to hop in and out right around that area, no problem. You'll drive all the way out to 4. 4 and 5 are within a 20-yard walk. So there's parking out there. You'll leave 4 and 5. You'll drive to another parking area at 6. You drive to another parking area at 7, which is Cowboy Hill, which I think is probably going to be the most physically demanding stage in the match. You'll drive over to an area where you can walk to bay 8 or stage 8, and you'll drive and park by 9 and 10 and 11, which are all the rifle bays. Drive around the corner to 12 and plenty of parking over there. So you got plenty of room to move around. I'm pretty stoked about it. The range is absolutely on board with anything I wanted. Can I do this? Yep. Can I do this? Yep. So I'm pretty stoked to have that kind of freedom. And you guys will be able to cruise around. I mean, if you have a cart, you're going to want to put it on someone's truck when you drive from 3 to 4. It's a quarter mile go.
Is the entire range accessible by an intermediate size rental car?
Yes, 100%. Not this year, but next year. I've already got plans to move to use an offsite location for 2020's match, and my rental car almost got stuck checking out that location. And that's also a location where we've looked at possible for a URL. So, but no, we're on the range, intermediate rental. Anywhere you want to go on the property, you'll be good to go.
2020 needed a helicopter.
Yeah, 2020 is going to be cool. I'm already on it.
All right. So next up then, round count. What's round count?
Oh God, I got to pull it up. I posted it on social media. Let me see if I got a note on it. Oh God.
While he's looking for that, I'll put out the disclaimer that a lot of targets are optional, and Round
Yeah.
counts may not be exact.
Of course,
And
always.
that's the hard thing with the round count for us. All paper is 100% pistol or rifle optional. All steel optional with any gun based on the distance of the target.
Let's knock out the easy ones. How much buckshot do you need?
None. That's just silly.
And then how many slugs approximately would one need?
27. Once I talked to you today, it's like 25. It's 20 something. So it's a bunch. There's 5 or 6 on a couple different bays, and there's slugs on 1, 2, 3, 4 stages at least have slugs on them.
Okay, so 25 to 27 slugs.
I got a round
over 200 yards.
I want to say easily it's 200. If you brought 200 pistol, 200 rifle with another 50 long range plus 125 birds and 25 slugs, you would barely break even. And that was my guess. Obviously, if somebody decides they want to start getting into, I'm going to shoot all this paper with my rifle and not even touch my pistol, or I'm going to shoot all this paper with my rifle and only shoot a couple pieces of paper with my pistol. And so that's where we end up in using.
I would bring 2 flats of shotgun ammo.
2 flats of shotgun? I don't know, man.
So that's
solid numbers, Pete.
There's a whole nother discussion on shotgun when people talk about last year's match or even the first year Safariland to the second year Safariland. That's
where I'm going.
Oh, okay. I'll leave it alone. Yeah, go.
Well, one last
segue.
Thing I have to ask is about the range. So this is Cody, Wyoming. It's not the same place that the match has been the last couple of years. I don't know a lot of people that have personally been to this range. Can you kind of give us like an overarching thing of like what's available there? Are we gonna need to bring shade? Are we gonna need to bring water? Are we gonna be digging our own holes to poop in, or like what's going on?
No, so all the sporting clays areas, man, this range is beautiful. It's super nice and super accommodating. There's actually 3 or 4 buildings, like nice buildings. There's a building by long range. There's another building over by 12. There's another building by what would be a little walk from 3 or right around the corner from 8 where registration is going to be. And these buildings have facilities inside them, and they are going to be completely unlocked on the property for us to use whenever we need to. So if you had to get out of the rain or get out of something weird about hailstorm or something, we got places to run to. I'm bringing my USSL tents, plus there'll be other tents on the ground. So there'll be shade on every single stage. Bringing coolers. There'll be coolers and water and ice on every single stage. So all that stuff's going to be good. Nice big stage signs so people will know where they're at and what they're looking for. Stage descriptions will be readily available when you get there. They'll be stapled to the stage so they don't blow away. And everybody will be able to walk up and walk and decide what they want to do and have a good idea what they're going to have to do come match day.
What's the range surface like there? Is it powdery like Parma? Or do you got the big ankle rollers like Vegas? Like what kind of surface do you got?
Oh, man, it sucks. I'm going to go to this match. I'm going to build this thing. It's going to be way easier than drilling in my ground. The match is going to be awesome. I mean, I'm going to come back here to Vegas, deal with breaking my ankle and drilling holes in the concrete. No, man, the surface is nice. It's kind of a gravel-y-ish surface over on the pistol base, solid dirt in the rifle base, and then natural terrain. The stage what is it? Stage 6, the dead tree. You're actually going to be kind of going up a series of rock almost. I mean, we're not going to have any targets in that rock, but it's like a scree field almost. So some of the terrain you're definitely going to be moving across some uneven ground, but not ankle biters like we have here in Vegas. And the ground's definitely softer, and I'll be able to put this match up in less time than I put up my matches here at home.
I saw you searching for a word in one of your videos trying to describe the terrain, and we call that tundra. It's high desert. It's high desert, man. It's kind of rocky, kind of dusty, but there's no water there. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it definitely hasn't been raining a lot. I've been checking the weather every single day, seeing what the winds are doing, seeing what the temperatures are doing. It's going to be pretty pleasant. I'm at 115 here and 110 here at home, and I think we're going to be in like the high 70s, low 80s for the match. So,
I'm looking forward to that.
But like everywhere, I just spent a week in Wyoming at a different location, and like everywhere, they have received exponentially more moisture than they typically receive. So Wyoming is very green right now. Yeah. I would say you're probably going to see Wyoming in pretty rare form.
Awesome.
This time around.
Awesome. Yeah. That's great to hear.
That'd be cool.
Well, Pete, we got two pertinent questions in the chat here. One is Steve Gabara, and he asks, "Is side-by-side / ATVs? Are we good to go there?"
Good to go.
Okay. And then Casey Pratt joins us. and he's asking slugs on paper ? I think that
Negative.
means can we shoot slugs on paper?
Hashtag read the rules.
Yeah. So
Dude, it's in the rules. It says you can. It just depends on the match, right?
You can write it in the rules. It can be put in the written stage brief, and it can be allowed, but it's not a full-time rule due to the fact that slugs on poppers is a bad idea.
Got it. So this particular match, no slugs on paper, right?
No, you won't. You won't be doing it.
Okay. All right. So let's. Hey Max, do you have any other?
He's not even coming. Suck it.
He's not.
He's not even coming.
Casey, I thought we were gonna hang out, buddy. What the heck?
I thought we were bros.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
Okay. So, hey Max, anything else you want to ask about the range, round count, match, et cetera, et cetera? I'm pumped. I feel like I got a pretty good idea of what we're going to be doing here.
What's proximity to civilization?
15 minutes.
Way far.
10 to 15 minutes. No, it's 15 minutes. It's super awesome. The range is just north of town, and all the ranges that we're going to be shooting on face away from town. So that's why we're able to shoot some far stuff.
I think the other cool thing is that the Cody Firearms Museum just reopened their expansion, and so you can do that during off time. What are you rolling your ass for?
I want to go to the Cody Firearms Museum.
Dude,
so
just
bad.
go.
I know.
Rachel, please let Adam go to this match.
So we're actually having a
tell him to say
reception.
that.
We're actually having a reception sponsored by Gunworks at the museum Saturday night at 6 o'clock. So we're all going.
No way, I'm totally going.
As many people that want to go can go. And that's how our stage guns are going to be laid out. If you get a hit with any of your stage guns on the match, you get a special raffle ticket. And I think the title sponsor, I'm bringing the MIT program involved, but title sponsor for the raffles is Vortex Optics. So, yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so we got good stuff going on at the museum.
I think we released some new stuff too.
Supporting every match that's out there.
Yeah, right? I mean, every match. See it all the time.
Prolific.
Helping me.
All right, Pete. So last question on the match format, and then I kind of want to get into a little bit of philosophical thing with you here. What am I trying to say? Schedule. Like, am I going to be able to get like an afternoon where I go to the Cody Firearms Museum, or is this going to be an on-off half day?
Sir.
What's going on?
Yes, sir. Schedule is an on-off AM, PM, both Friday and Saturday, and then on-off on Sunday to keep everybody on the ground. So either Friday or Saturday, you'll be done by noon. What squad you on?
Honestly, don't know. I think it's 4.
Okay, so if you're on squad 4, you will shoot Friday morning. You'll shoot stages 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you will be off at noon, and it won't be dark till 9 o'clock. So you got a 9-hour day ahead of you to go into Yellowstone, to drive around, go to the museum, do whatever you want to do.
Okay, I have one more question. How many times can I enter the match?
Well, actually, I mean, my argument after a recent district issue is that people should not be able to shoot 2 matches on the same squad. It just affects the squad flow. It affects how much work that individual can put in, and it's very difficult for the squad to handle it. But when I let people shoot like 2 safari lands, it only affects the individual shooter. It doesn't affect the squad at all. I mean, if you start slacking off in your second group, your squad will let you know. But if you're shooting twice and you're overstuffing mags twice and you're walking stages twice, it's a little easier to argue it. So as a stand, we don't have a rule on it, but I frown and I tell my match directors, don't let that happen. It's not good for the match flow. But this year, no, everybody's just shooting once, and you're not even shooting at all, Pest. But the reality is, yeah, I mean, if someone was crazy in 2020, there'd be an argument about them shooting 2 divisions.
All right, speaking of divisions, Pete, I heard a rumor that there's going to be a PCC division at this match.
Should I pull the trigger now? There it goes.
Is that true or is that not true? Is that true or is that not true?
I have my finger pointed at my head. Yes, the dreaded PCC only division. What the heck was I thinking?
God damn it, Pete.
Their money spends.
Hang on a sec. Let me ask you this.
Go ahead, get me.
You just laid out. There's going to be all these slug targets. There's going to be there. We're on a Clay's range, right? I imagine there's going to be some thrown birds. There's shots out to 550 yards. Pete, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's difficult to hit a shot at 500 yards with a 9mm.
It's a game of marksmanship.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually referred to two of my actual pros, they're coin carrying pros in that division or that shoot that division to discuss the possibilities of what we could do to reach that division. But you know what it comes down to is I had a gentleman that shot and won the title at District 1 and District 2. And he shoots here locally, and he sponsors and he supports his company sponsors and helps us out. And he came to me and he just said, "Hey man, I'd love to come to Wyoming." At the same time, another shooter was right there that shot both of them and said, "Hey, I'd love to come to Wyoming if you had a PCC only." And due to the fact that the match is not full, okay, because obviously if the match was full with 3-gunners, we wouldn't introduce another division. Same thing I'm doing with Surefire, where I've moved PCC and 2-gun out of that match. If the match was solid full and there was no room and there was a wait list, I probably wouldn't have even entertained the idea. But being that the fact that I had 5 or 6 shooters, including a coin carrying pro, which covers our bylaws for qualification titles, all I have to do is put more work into the stage as far as some alternate targets for these PCC shooters. It will not affect the 2x4. It will not affect the 2-gun. It will not affect any of the standard divisions at all. The optional targets that will be put in play for the PCC only division will not be allowed to be in play for any of the other divisions. So it's not affecting the other divisions. It's just making me do more work.
So I actually called up Shannon Smith in Florida this last weekend. I was like, "Hey, I know you run the IPSC Nationals.
Yep.
Can I come shoot 3-gun in your IPSC Nationals?" And he said, "No, you can't do that."
Yeah,
it's a completely different game.
Maybe I'm a little nicer to people. Not than Shannon. I like Shannon. Don't get me wrong. I ain't dogging Shannon, but you know, it was simple. I got a couple of shooters with me. My brain said, "Talk to Major." Major is right there with me. I said we would have to bring up some alternate targets and hang. We're actually going to hang clay. We have an MGM clay holder that's able to be shot with PCCs. It actually can be shot with rifles, but it's not safe because you're going to put it in close. We're actually going to bring those and make those PCC shooters actually shoot a clay. And on the flying clays, I'm planning on putting those targets out pretty darn far. So you'll have to shoot a little 4-inch clay at maybe 30, 40 yards. The same, you know, maybe even a more difficult challenge than a flying bird with a shotgun. And then on the rifle stages, we'll be implementing the Cowboys and Indians. And I'm not lying. There's actually a series of Cowboys and Indian knockdowns at the Cody range that I was told I could use that I don't think will maintain their form over the course of a 260 person match, but they will fully do great to be optional targets for the PCC people.
So I'm totally kidding. I never actually called Shannon Smith and asked him about that. But my point is that
I believed you.
What's up?
I believed you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I had to clarify because people can never tell when I'm joking or not joking. But the 2x4 and PCC changed the 3-gun game. It does, and there's no way that you can argue about it and say that it doesn't. It absolutely does change the game. So my question is, like, I mean, there's four dudes that don't have 3-gun gear that they wanted to shoot this match.
Well, now there's about 10 dudes without 3-gun gear.
Okay.
And there's some dudes with 3-gun gear that are focusing on PCC right now. And again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier. If it's not unsafe, then why say no? So
last year, it's not unsafe to kick a soccer ball in a football game.
That's true. That's true.
Sure? So last year,
man, I know PCC is a hated thing. I get it. Go for it. I got it.
So let me clarify something real quick. I actually like PCC as its own game. I think it's a ton of fun. However, in 3-gun, I think it affects the stage design. For example, last year at the Wyoming Governor's match, I shot 32 rounds of shotgun, and I had to buy extra 9mm from a friend that was at the range because I ran out of pistol ammo. Because once you change the targets from like shotgun only or some sort of option where you throw in clays. Now let's get rid of all those clays. We'll just put in, more steel. Then it becomes easily a pistol match instead of actually needing your shotgun.
Yeah, true that. No, I agree. And the very first year we did Safariland, there was a lot of people went crazy with pistols over shotguns. So I just bought smaller knockdowns. And this year's Safariland, this guy will tell you right here, this year at Safariland, It was 2 flats of shotgun if you were shooting multiple divisions. My guys went to the
I had to
store.
go to Walmart again.
Really?
My team went to Walmart every morning and pissed me off. They were supposed to show up to the range, start doing water, and start doing work before they start shooting. And they were late to shoot, did no work for me because they were at Walmart trying to buy more ammo. So I know where you're at, bro. Trust me. The key was the distance of the targets and smaller knockdowns put people back on the shotgun. And really the standard divisions, they've been shooting a lot of shotgun. I mean, even at Grands, most all the 3-gun stages were shot with all 3 guns. People gone on the shotguns. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm designing this match to make people argue their decisions. You may argue that the pistol and not touching the shotgun may be beneficial, but I can guarantee you, if you don't find a way to perform that skill set perfectly on that stage, someone with a shotgun can come through floppy and beat you.
Yeah. So
and that's what I'm designing it now.
I now have like a warm feeling in my heart. That's exactly what I want to hear. The fun stages are the ones where you can sit there and argue about which gun to use in that situation. But when you show up and they're like 8-inch knockovers and you're like, well, this is clearly a pistol target, that is not fun. So I'm enthusiastic to hear your plan for it, because I honestly was really concerned when I heard that PCC was there. And by the way, if you're going to shoot PCC, just man up and shoot 3-gun, for God's sake. It's a 3-gun match.
I tried to put all the PCCers on one squad. I had like
thank God
squad. It was a sponsor squad. I was gonna be like, hey, yeah, you guys can come. I'm just gonna stick you all on 24. But I will tell you right now,
if we're shooting a PCC only match, game on. Let's do it. Sounds like fun.
There's 120 knockdowns coming that are 6 inches or smaller. So, and over 60 or 70 of those are 5 inches. And optional targets are smaller than 5 inches. The optional KDs behind the flippers are 4 inches.
Now, when I shot, I think it wasn't this year, it was the 2018 SHOT Show aftermatch. Yep. You had some, tiny little hex targets that were out there that were like, yeah, that's definitely a shotgun target.
All of those are coming, and I bought 40 more from MGM Targets.
Nice. Yeah, those are the ones that make you like pause and it's definitely a shotgun target. Yeah.
2x4 is becoming its own, and there's definitely a following. There's people that enjoy it, and then there's other people that want to hate it, and I'm good with it either way. I think the main key is to understand that we don't score an overall, and by division, the tack shooters are going to do what they feel that they're best at, and the options that are provided to them. And I spend a lot of time evolving the matches, and I've evolved that division to put a lot more people on the shotguns. This year at the Safari Land, I actually had 2x4s come up to me mad because they were like, "This stage is so much better if I use my shotgun," and I'm like, "Yep."
You see what I did there? 4. There are 4 guns.
I'm glad you figured that out. Well, I really want to do this. If you give me one more dump, then I can do this. I said, yeah, but I didn't give you one more dump, and I'm not going to go get another one either. So good luck. And a lot of these guys got on their shotguns. Whether they like them because they don't run or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we should probably just table that conversation for another time. But I do think that PCC, for a minute there, it looked like it was absolutely going to kill the shotgun, like it was going to make it irrelevant. And I walked away from last year's match thinking like I should have just shot 2-gun. And I saw half a dozen dudes switch to 2-gun before the match, like after walkthrough and before the match, thinking like, oh, there's, it's going to be an easier division. There's not as much heat. And then, I'm not going to be using my shotgun. So why not just switch to 2-gun? So good to hear that there's at least a plan in place. I love my shotgun, Pete. Don't make me part with my shotgun.
I did too, and I got a year-old KL-12 that my team's all shooting. So yeah, we're shooting shotgun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm rooming with Mike at Dissident Arms up there, so I will know. I'll be the first to know if there's not enough shotgun in the match. Just FYI. Yeah, that dude would light me up if I don't put shotgun in. Yeah. Yep. So all right. Well, I'm excited, man. I really I like to hear your ideas for the match. It's been like 25 years since I've been a Cody, so I'm looking forward to that too. Although it does add like at least 7 hours to my drive, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm looking forward to the match, man. It sounds like a lot of fun. So Pete, I want to kind of switch gears here. Unless there's anything else you want to add to the Wyoming Governors match, I want to kind of shift gears and talk about USSL as a whole. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, all I could say is I'm super stoked to be a part of it. I've listened to the shooters like yourself who said the last couple of years weren't, up to the standards or the par that they wanted. I'm super stoked that the government's involved, and we're actually looking. We got NSSF and NRA Sports involved this year, and we're looking to bring in the other surrounding states for 2020 and make this thing a true territory. And so I'm just stoked that I get to be there, and it motivates me to work harder on the match and put together a better match than before, just because of the scuttlebutt of previous years. So I'm taking every comment that's ever been made, and I'm pushing forward, and this thing's going to be one of the best things I've ever put on the ground.
That's awesome, man. We're all behind you, and we're looking forward to coming out and supporting the match and supporting the Wyoming Governor's Office and shooting in the great state of Wyoming and having a lot of fun. And AMAX is going to be there with us. Yeah,
come on, AMAX. What the heck?
Yep. All right. So Pete, let's talk about USSL a little bit. It's been like a year and a half since we chatted, and I'll be honest, there's been a lot of interviews in between. I don't quite remember everything that happens, but let's talk about like the overarching like vision of USSL, and then I want to talk about the major matches. Gave you a couple notes beforehand here, so I want to talk about that as well. So yeah, take it away. Overarching vision of USSL. What is USSL? Why should we care as competitive shooters?
It's so crazy what the direction that we've gone, and it's in the last 14 months since we last spoke. It's even grown bigger. Yes, the USSL is the United Shooting Sports Leagues, and encompassing inside that is these individual leagues. The easy way to explain it is 6 years ago, we started the Surefire match, and that match, we designed a rule book with Michael Voigt and Barry Duke, and we argued that we're now doing exactly what we were trying to fight against doing and having another rule book out there. But we still went ahead and did it because Mike was very passionate about the direction that he believed that match should go. And that evolved into UML. And as UML started to take off and started to grow, two individuals that have been a big player in this game for a long time, Ken Nelson and Mike Voigt, both said to me within a week span of meetings, don't stop at multi-gun. There's not a lot of governing of the carbine style matches. PRS is doing a great job, but this was a couple years ago, the things that were said to me. But there's a lot of people running outlaw black rifle matches, and your scoring system can work within all of these different things. And then the amount of people running steel matches where it's just straight time or steel challenge style, where they're not running steel challenge anymore. They're just running these wild steel matches, Rio Salado, and just run around and shoot steel. So we talked about the steel, and then we talked about let's get a shotgun only. Well, we can put that into the steel league because it's all steel, and we can easily have those divisions in there. And then it was a no-brainer to add the pistol part, just for the simple fact that, yes, there's some organizations that are dominating pistol, and they always will. And I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm trying to find a happy middle ground that anybody could come shoot one of my pistol matches. The rules are simple. The scoring is way easier to explain. And the fastest time on the stage setting the points works in all 4 leagues. And so USSL was born based on the fact that people asked me to hang on to what UML was becoming, grow it, and then don't stop there. And when you got people like Ken Nelson, who we know has done a lot for the sport, and runs a lot of matches and has TPC, and we have practice score because of him, and of course Michael Voigt telling me don't stop there. Well, I'm not that ignorant. It's easy for me to just listen and open my ears and say, all right, what do I do? So here we are.
Yeah, man, those are two guys you definitely want to listen to when they offer advice, especially business advice.
Business advice, right? I mean, I got Mike Voigt on one side. You really can't argue when he's saying you can do things better. And then business side, I got Ken telling me don't stop. So here we are.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So I first became aware of the leagues through UML, and so now I've got to shoot a URL match. I don't think I've shot a UPL match, but I've shot a couple of URL matches, UML matches, and so. I'll be the first one to say, like, I didn't want to read another rule book, but recently I read all 80-some pages of the USPSA multi-gun rule book, and I'm very grateful that there are alternatives out there. So that's a good thing. Now let's talk about like the growth. So I know that there are major matches. Most of them occur in Las Vegas. There's a UML traditional nationals that's here in Texas in Navasota. Let's talk about like the clubs and the membership growth. So where are you at as far as like club numbers and member number wise?
We got 60 to 70 clubs around the country. About 90% of them running UML. They're really, I don't know if there's more than one or two clubs that are running one of the other leagues without running UML. A lot of cases it was somebody running UML, and then on an off weekend they would have a outlaw carbine match, and I would contact them and say, hey, we have a rule book for that. It aligns perfectly. The divisions align, the scoring aligns. It's very simple. And they went, oh, I had no idea. And I think right now I'm way behind the curve on getting knowledge out. So I thank you for giving us a chance, because I'm buried, and I'm doing everything I can. We just sent out a new a form for reporting rank from our clubs, and there's so many clubs that we, in the process of going through Practice Score and looking at who's using our templates, there's 20, 30 clubs out there that are using our templates in Practice Score to score their matches that I don't have on my list. So I'm way behind at reaching out to everybody, and thank God I've got a lot of people that have come aboard and they're offering to help out and get up to speed. But I know for a fact on my map right here with the pins on my map, I've got 60 to 70 clubs nationwide that are running UML to some extent or have run a match, and we're at about 1,000 members currently in the organization. And I think that's mainly because we don't force you to be a member to play. We're never going to force you to be a member to play at any level. And the MIT program hasn't launched yet. That's my failure, and my team's, there's been some issues with that, but we're actually going to be bringing MIT packages to Wyoming. We'll be handing the first ones out there. So I'm super stoked about that. And that whole thing's going to maybe help, but ultimately it's just going to take time. It's just going to take time. And there's a lot of people that are not ready for another org. Go.
What is a MIT?
The MIT package, the Membership and Industry Partner Program. So for those that don't turn into the TMP show, the Membership and Industry Partner Program is basically a discount code program that sponsors are going to provide to our current members of 2019, either members that joined or renewed in 2019. And it's going to be in a form of online discount codes or discount cards that we're going to mail you or hand you at a match.
Cool. I like it. I'm really excited about it. So on the outlaw carbine match thing, I recently shot, like I said, a matchup ETTS where on their off weekend they did a carbine match, and it was like AK Open, AR Open, PCC Open, and then I think 22 LR or something like that. And I actually shot two divisions, so it was like 400 rounds in one day, which is a lot of fun. Such a cool format. And the hit factor scoring was a pain in my butt, but like I definitely have got the three gunner syndrome as far as like two anywhere goes. But I like the flexibility in doing that, because one gun matches are so much fun, and I think as far as like three gunners, we often get in the states, so if like we need to shoot three guns. But I love shooting all shotgun matches. I love shooting steel matches, and I love shooting all carbine matches. So it's cool to have all those options available under one rule. Rule set. But
yeah, go. Let me ask you a quick question.
I was going to say, but an organization that's also pushing it too.
So Sky and I went and toured Sky's range. I love working with them, and they're running UML. If they ran a URL and they used our time factor scoring, the master directors have the choice to use all three scoring systems in URL. You have three. If you go into Practice Score and look up the templates, you'll see all three, which means you can score a URL match expedition, which is the faster scoring penalties at 2 seconds, 4 seconds. You can score it traditional. Let's say you have a URL match that's a lot of long range. It would be better to score it traditional because the values are a little bit higher, forcing you to have to actually engage some of those targets. And then you can score it with the time factor scoring, where it's 0.2 of a second if you shoot a Charlie, 0.6 if you shoot a Delta, and then the mics and the procedurals all align with all the other rule books. So if she ran a match and if it was URL and she used the time factor, that was their choice. And I recommend to match directors that they let their shooters decide what direction they want to go with that. But being that she probably runs a UML on another weekend, it's probably just trying to toy with the different flavors and see what the people like.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it was a completely different game. I was surprised like how much that one little thing like actually changed the stage strategy and like how you execute. Is way different. It was a lot of fun.
No, if they're using our target too, because our target's smaller. So if you're putting our target out at distance and requiring that Charlies are give you a 2/10 and a Delta 6/10, you start wondering how fast do you really want to split and how fast do you want to run.
Yeah. I was trying to figure all that out like over the day. Like I don't think I figured it out until we did final scores, and I was like, man, I chose the wrong method.
The whole system's got to evolve and it's got to mature, and that's probably the best word to say. It's got to mature. The qualification title system needs to mature. The rank system needs to mature so people can see how it works and what it's actually doing. And then as people play the different games in the different leagues, the scoring all does align, and the fastest time is all there, and the misses are all still, in the procedurals and penalty targets, they all still align. But yeah, there's definitely a different format. That time factor was set up for the pistol league. And then people asked us if they could use it in the rifle league. And again, that went into the whole, well, it's not unsafe. So if you really want to score targets, but it's kind of root canal-ish for the rifle. So just let them shoot. But they can do it.
It was a little rough, but it was kind of fun to have that departure from what we normally do too. So I enjoyed it. I'd shoot it again for sure in a heartbeat. So Pete, a while back I had a little bit of confusion on what all the USSL UML majors were for. Amax kind of filled me in here, and we did that on a 3 Gun Show Patreon program. By the way, if you're not a patron, you definitely should join and be a part of that so you can hear all the behind the scenes stuff. But for people that didn't catch that episode, can you kind of give me an idea of like how many Super Bowls you have and like what leagues lead up into those Super Bowls?
Yeah, so the Expedition Nationals, if you will, the reason that was put into play is because it's 100% done expedition style, expedition scoring, all the bays, everything inside the bay. Furthest shots are 70, 80 yards. It's a fast, go crazy fast. How fast can you go? And you're able to shoot 5 stages in only a few hours. So that's where guys like Amax can come and shoot 2 divisions and not die, except the first couple of years where it was too hot. We're trying to move that matchup into February where it's not going to be hot at all.
Die. All right, you almost died.
Yeah, you almost died. So, that's why we have an Expedition Nationals or an Expedition Championship. And then the biggest draw to the Bushnell match, the traditional nationals, was
hang on before you go on to traditionals. I'm sorry, I want to stop you right there. So, Expedition Nationals is the finale, the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl of expedition style matches, right?
100%.
So are there
scoring? And there's 2 different scoring. So that's how we define it.
Right. There's expedition and traditional, right?
Yep.
And expedition has like the lower penalties. It's encouraging to go faster. Am I correct on that?
100%. 2 seconds for a failure and 4 seconds for a miss, as opposed to 5 and 10.
Yeah, which I like, by the way.
Speedball.
The way I shoot it feels awesome. So the where was I going with that one? Okay, so what club matches, and I mean maybe club matches is a bit of a stretch, but what like district or regional matches do you have that are that expedition style that feed into Expedition Nationals?
I think everybody now, I think actually ETTS is running a traditional match once a month, but I think everybody now is running expedition mostly. Even in some areas where you have further shots, we'll be doing expedition at Wyoming. So you'll be able to go fast. So the expedition rulebook really is the direction that Mike and I wanted to go, and we really enjoyed it. Except we had several shooters contact us from around the country that shoot matches where there's longer duration of times on the stages, that those 2 and 4 second penalties don't require you to maybe complete the whole course of fire. And that's a whole nother discussion where the organization is going with those engagement penalties and things like that. But there was a question that it wasn't enough of a penalty, and then the other question was, we don't understand it, so we don't want to do it. And so it was like, well, what do you understand? Well, we understand 5 and 10. And so it's like, all right, this is really easy. We can write the 5 and 10 in. We can write the 5 and 10 into the rule book. We can let people pay traditional for a while. And then as the rule book evolves, maybe someday one of those 2 disappear. As of right now, we
I
run
got you. Based on popularity and what the customers actually want, you're thinking that eventually it's going to evolve into one rule set.
I believe I can design a stage and teach and guide people to design stages that Expedition would work 100% in all terrains. But fortunately, I'm one person, and it's hard for me to teach everybody. And there's a lot of people with their own style. So if their style is, hey, you got to run 20 yards over there just to shoot those 2 targets, and those 2 targets are only worth a couple seconds, you're not going to make that 20-yard dash.
Yeah. Well, and I guess like on the ground as a club match director, it's difficult to switch gears, right? Because you don't want to let your constituents, your customers, your friends that have been coming out to this match for years, you don't want to let them down for 6 matches when you have 6 months to get over this learning curve, right? So I can kind of understand it, like wanting to stick with the old way. Maybe there's a way to cut down the learning curve or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's a history thing that I was kind of against, but there's enough clubs that wanted it, and again, there was no reason not to. And that's what drove us to do the Bushnell match, and I was super happy to take it somewhere else. And so that's why there's a second nationals, or a second championship, if you will, under the UML rulebook at level 4, and that's the Bushnell Traditional Nationals, where we make it the scoring go back to that traditional scoring, which those those stages that they shot in the pistol base that were everything inside the bay scored traditionally. If you failure to target on a 30-second stage, you just tank the stage.
Yeah.
So it was important. It was important to know that scoring system when you went into those stages, because you needed to shoot those stages clean to stay well in that match.
Yeah, it is kind of weird when you can like FT 1 target and you just double your stage time.
Right.
It's fairly typical for me, Dave.
I'm so glad Max is here, Pete, aren't you?
That's good times.
All right. So you also have Surefire, right? Surefire World Multi-Gun Championship.
Yeah.
And so my understanding is this is the amalgamation of all the different styles of 3-gun, right? So that you've got your fast 3-gun Nation-y styles, you've got your Iron Man-y styles, correct me if I'm wrong on all this, Pete.
No, you're dead on. And if I had the most perfect facility, which is there's a major push to moving this match to where I believe the more perfect facility would be. There would be 2 terrain stages, 2 night stages, 2 3-gun Nation-ish stages, 2 USPSA style stages, 2 bay to bay stages, 2 box to box stages, 2 shoot off style stages, and that's what encompasses the Surefire match. And that was really what Mike and Barry, when they came to me and they said, hey, we need to do a bigger match and we want to make it a big championship. And I was already running the USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals and assisting with other matches like Ironman. I was like, how do you quantify? How can we possibly build a match where we can really test the skill sets of all these different styles that people all over the country are shooting, and maybe try to drive them to one location? And so our thought was, let's just put every single style possible into this match. It makes for a very difficult matrix and timing of the match. You have stages that are shot in 30-40 seconds, other stages that are shot in 2 minutes. So the matrix is very difficult. The match doesn't hold that many shooters because I cannot possibly put shooters on every single stage. Even though there's 15 stages, 16 stages in the match, I cannot put shooters on every single stage because they're just shooting into each other, and the delays would be huge, and we'd be running into each other. So that match is designed to what I believed, and I still have hopes, and I think a possible move to a more central location with a location that allows me to do true terrain and those beta base stages as well as the night stages. We can really make that match something that everybody could come to and hopefully put a pretty strong field together and see who's the best.
That sounds badass. Can you pick a location within an hour of an airport, please?
Yes, I would like to do that.
Yes. So this is actually gonna be the first year that I'm shooting Surefire. Like Amax and Ruben and Scott Green finally got me.
Sweet. Well,
yes.
These guys talk a lot about the match. I love hearing positives about the match. I love listening to people when they tell me what they want to see in the match. And it's evolved every year for 6 years. I'm stoked to do it again this year. And if all goes well and I can do what I need to do, there will be some bigger major matches under the UML rulebook and other locations as soon as possible.
Nice. Well, and so that's kind of where I'm going with some of this. I think we have 2 more matches that I want to cover that are happening in Vegas, and then I want to kind of talk about like, hey man, I like going to Vegas once a year, but so you also have USSL Grands, which we talked about a little bit here. Now that is an invitational, right? And this year there was 50 shooters. Am I?
Yeah, it wasn't
an
invitational, but I did reach out to a lot of shooters, trying to help them understand what I was trying to do. When I first projected that out, I projected it out to the Craig Outsons and the Casey Pratts and some of the people out there that shoot with me a lot. And I said, "What do you guys think about this?" And they're like, "You're crazy." So it was kind of like,
right. So why are you crazy? Like for people that didn't go to the match, don't know about it. Why are you crazy in that case?
I think doubling it up with the other match made it more crazy. But it's basically a 20-stage match. So we're talking about Magpul being the Wyoming match being 12, and you're like 12. Right. Holy heck. The Grands will be 20 stages again next year. Okay,
thank God.
So it's a 20-stage match, and you'll shoot 5 stages all shotgun, 5 stages all pistol, 5 stages all rifle. And I can promise you that your skill sets in those individual guns will be and was tested more than each individual skill set in a multi-gun format that I would run. And then the multi-gun stages were some of the best 5 multi-gun stages I've ever put on the ground. So the Grands format brings multi-gun league, steel league, all shotgun, pistol league, all pistol, rifle league, and it puts all 4 leagues on the ground at one time, where you have to come and prove that you can't hide behind your rifle because you're not good at pistol, or hide behind your pistol because you're not good at shotgun. You had to prove it on each individual gun, and I think the shooters really experienced that feeling. There's a freedom to shooting one gun stages, especially with the gun that you love, like your shotgun stages. These guys aren't walking around with bags and carts and stuff. At the pistol area, they were all just chatting, having fun. They just had a couple mags on their belt. It was chill. And the shotgun one, they had some extra gear, but they didn't have to drag their pistols and their rifles up to the stages. And the rifle stages, they pretty much were just basically flipping me off. The rifle stages were just gnarly.
He's not wrong.
No, I had a lot of people sending me pictures with their middle finger on the picture and props in the background. So I got some heat from it, but in the end, that format brings something new, or almost something back. Pat Kelly made a good statement. This is true 3-gun with multi-gun on the back end. True original 3-gun was not all 3 guns on one stage. It was 1-gun stages at one match. And so Pat Kelly said this was one of the great. Pat Kelly and Benny Cooley both said this is one of the greatest things we've done in over a decade. And we thank you for bringing it. And so guess what? I'm definitely bringing it back.
Yeah, shoot, those are 2 great endorsements right there, huh?
I know. I really liked it a lot. I feel like I'm the guy who says that it's my favorite match, like about every match. But like it is certainly one of the more underrated matches of the season thus far. And it's a very unique concept, and I really like it. And it seems like every year Pete brings a new wild idea to SHOT Show to pitch to Ruben, and I'm just kind of listening because he's talking to Ruben. But like he talked about the Grands last year and just killed it this year, and I'm kind of scared of what he's going to come up with and ask us about at SHOT Show this year. Because
that's true.
Is it going to be like trophy trucks out in the desert with?
I'm in.
I love it. Well, that makes me feel good, because my least favorite thing of SHOT Show is walking into booths to ask for more stuff. So when I can try to pitch good ideas and come up with some good concepts, there was some heat at Grands, and I got 20. I got more emails at the end of that match from top shooters regarding how they felt about the match than I've ever received at any match I've done in 10 years. So I think the match has a positive, and there's nothing else like it right now. USSL has got its own title.
Yeah. All right. So there's another match going on at the same time that did not get nearly as much play, but there was more shooters at. Is that right?
Yeah, that one's dead.
Oh, should we not talk about that anymore then?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's very simple. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I could not get a number into the Grands that would please SIG and the other sponsors. I knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was too new of a concept, and that I would not get the amount of people that I could possibly get without having a solid performance on my guys, my team, and my staff and my building stages, and then also a report from the top shooters like AMAX saying the match was awesome. So I believe wholeheartedly the match is going to do just fine on its own. And the other part of that match was 100% the 50 to 100 shooters in the Southern Nevada SoCal area that when the USPSA Multigun Nationals moved to the East Coast, basically contacted me and say, what are you going to give us? And that was 100% what it was what we have been shooting your match for 10 years. We want to come to Vegas in April. What are you going to give us? And so I gave them a 15-stage multi-gun match that they had a good time at.
Nice. Okay, so what else are we missing as far as championships go?
Last one that's affirmative is the Pcc 2-gun championship.
Yeah.
And that's happening in lieu of what we used to call our rookie match. So Surefire was always known as this very, very difficult match. And the first year it was invitational. And that was probably a bad idea on my part. It wasn't that I was not letting anybody else come, but I sent out 50 invites because I wanted to try to get some traction. And in fact, that year we were actually in conjunction with 3 Gun Nation. So we used some of the Pro Series, and there was a whole long list of why that went on, and it was actually damaging to the match. People still contact me and say, when are you going to send me an invite? Still, this is 6 years later. I'm like, bro, the match is
I've never got my invite, Pete.
What? I told you the story of how I thought it was a scam. When Pete sent out that invite to me back then, I'm like, oh, this is Pete Rensing. Who's that?
Yeah,
this is
a made up name.
This guy's gonna pocket my money, and I'm gonna show up in Vegas. There's not gonna be any match.
It was terrible. It was a bad idea, but the match is going into something pretty
still
cool.
Waiting on my invite.
I missed out on the best years because I thought it was a scam.
Oh, you didn't actually go?
No, I didn't go.
Oh, I missed that part of the story.
No, I didn't go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a bad idea, but we went with it anyways. Long story short, the match doesn't have the ability. It would be very difficult for me to bring 2-gun and PCC only into that match, and that match I believe needs to stay exactly the way it is right now, which I don't think in the maybe 2020 the 2-gun and the PCC divisions don't show up at Wyoming. I think the future of the events, once we can make the events big enough, is that PCC has its own event, and 2x4 even maybe someday could have its own event. I have people wanting to film a 2x4 only event because of the amount of options. But let's go back to Surefire and 2-gun. We pulled the PCC and 2-gun out just so that we could focus 100% on the other divisions at the match. And the week before, we're able to use a good portion of the match to run just the 2-gun PCC only divisions. And some people are going to shoot both. And I can tell you, just like last year, those stages changed considerably from on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from the PCC match that we did last year, which was the first year. It didn't have a title. So only had about 50 people come shoot it. This year is the JP PCC 2-gun championship. And I really hope to highlight those 2 divisions in some really challenging stages and then readjust those stages and prepare for the Surefire World Multi-Gun.
So when you say 2-gun, like which 2 guns are you talking about?
Pistol rifle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pistol rifle. And 2-gun was ultimately launched with Wyoming from day one. And so there's already a huge following in it. It was actually the 2nd biggest division at District 2 and I think the 3rd biggest division maybe at District 1. And it's a really growing, it's a big division, and I'm not dogging shotgun. I think it's a lot of newer shooters getting involved because when I look at the names at the top of the 2-gun division at these events, they're not well-known names. They're not a lot of people jumping to the easier division. It's new shooters getting involved. And there may be some division hopping going on in there, and that's fine. But ultimately, if the 2-gun division is going to bring numbers to a match like a District 2 that would have been, would have been a third less people at that event, which was already an event that didn't have enough shooters, I think it's good for the event and good for the match directors. Until we're filling the match with all TAC shooters, we should have other divisions. Once we can fill a match with 100% TAC championship and then 100% an open championship, well, that would be a great day in multi-gun.
That would be kind of cool to have like one match where everyone shoots TAC or everyone shoots open. That'd be kind of badass.
It's almost like there used to be a match like that, and it's not around anymore.
I gotta tell you,
no, a good match is what I said.
I gotta tell you, my favorite pistol match I ever shot was the single stack nationals. There was 400 shooters all shooting single stack. I just made single stack. That was one of my favorite matches because I truly believe that I was competing against everybody in the same divisions, and we had a true overall. And But again, to take and force everybody to shoot only one division is not probably the way. The way is to reach out to more shooters, keep benefiting the sport, benefiting the sponsors, and someday having a match where you could field 260 optics shooters that'd be a good day.
That'd be awesome.
Show me the way.
The first Wyoming Governor's match was a 2-gun only match, and it was 2-gun. The rules were so weird. It was like rifle open, but limited pistol, and then limited.
We did a whole episode on it. You can go back.
It was jacked up. But anyway, so yeah. So then where was I going with that one? Oh, so 100% disagree that the 2-gun people are new. I'll be happy to sit down and run through the entire list with you, and I will tell you where all those people live and what they normally shoot. And yeah, man, it's a real thing, dude. Like, it's definitely a division jumper thing. And I think
tongue in cheek too.
I think the people that are saying like, oh, if they had a 2-gun, I'd show up. I don't like the shotgun. Those are the people that are making excuses. They also have to mow their lawn. Their girlfriend won't allow them to shoot any more matches that year. There's like a lot of, it's the excuse division for sure.
I'm going. Actually, it comes to mind that Benny Cooley's shooting 2-gun at Wyoming. So
see, that's a man that doesn't know his way around a shotgun right there.
So no, there's definitely something out there. No, I'm with you. Yeah. My report was more my local guys. My bad. My local.
Yeah, and I wish that wasn't the case, man. Like I really wish it wasn't the case. I wish it was all new people, and then we could show them like how much fun all the rest of the stuff is. Maybe we get them in a 3-gun, maybe not. Maybe they stay in 2-gun. But from all the club matches I've shot and I think 3 or 4 majors that I've had 2-gun, it's not what I've seen at all. It's just a bunch of division jumpers. I'm glad to see in your area that it's different though. So that's good to know. But
yeah, that's my local club. I'm not paying 100% attention to what happened at Grand's. Grand's, I only recognize TAC optics and open. And there's discussions for the future of the Grands next year, but we only recognize 2 divisions at that match. And probably another reason why we didn't receive all the numbers. I had lots of people tell me, if you let me shoot other division, I'll come. And I said that this year it's 2 championship belts. That's all that's being handed out.
Yeah.
Those are rad belts.
Those are rad belts for sure. And they actually mean something too.
Scott Green brought his to District 1. He's like, I have the belt in the car.
So hot right now.
Some say that he sleeps in that belt.
I wish you would.
All right. Pete, we got a question from the gallery here. Jeremy Krolak, who lives in Florida, says, all I have is USPSA. When is UML coming east of Texas?
We actually we have a couple of clubs in Florida, Manatee Multigun and oh man, I lost the name. There's another one in the Gainesville area that both have talked with us about it. They both have club lists and club numbers. It's just absolutely impossible for me to make the financial trips to some of these away locations to help answer all the questions of the match director. So that's 100% my
one too. We've talked about volunteerism. When somebody asks a question like that, the only thing that comes into my mind is when no one's selected, you're elected.
Yeah.
We just put a very iconic local match in the ground in the upper Midwest because the community support structure for it fell apart. Now, part of it is that the community got stronger in other areas that they used to draw from, but at the end of the day, that club didn't have a strong enough community to get it all together. So if you're asking the question, hypothetically, if you're a third person, asking the question, when are you going to bring a match to this area? That's your cue to start up a club and get some ROs together and try to get it going, because Pete's one guy and he lives in Vegas, so he's pretty buried over there.
Yeah, I appreciate the heck out of that, Dave. I don't want to cut you off. I just want to explain something since I've got your listeners. I carry a third phone now. I actually have 3. See, there's 3 of them. And I literally answered this phone.
One for the wife, one for the girlfriend.
Oh. I literally respond to this. I don't answer it all the time, but I respond to text on this phone every single weekend from match directors nationwide that are asking me questions. I got one today about how do we do this, or how do we do that, or I get a call, this just happened, we DQ'd the guy, what do we do? As soon as it is known, and I'm not saying I know everything, I'm not. I've run a lot of matches in 10 years and I'm trying my best to help out. But as soon as it's known that clubs can reach me at any time and ask questions about the rules of rule book, or how to build a stage, or how to design a stage, I send people stages. I get online with people. I get on phone calls with match directors, which usually take about an hour, which is why I don't answer the phone all the time. A typical phone call with a match director can take easily an hour to answer all their questions about matches. I'm a long way from being the best, and I'm a long way from being the only resource, but I'm 100% addicted and a resource to helping match directors around the country grow their clubs in their areas.
Yeah, and no one is putting their, I don't know, putting foot to ass the way Pete is. You know, it's like we all like to talk about a big game, but like, hey, don't Facebook message me. Hey, don't email me. Hey, don't text message me. You know, so yeah, being from a guy who runs several social media accounts and you know, several email accounts as well. Like, I totally understand like the overload of information. So I can't even imagine having a network of, you know, hundreds of match directors asking questions.
Pete is the 3-gun match directing Tasmanian devil. Right? Like, don't stand too close or you'll lose a finger.
Yeah, might have to start swinging a hammer.
No, I'm here to help clubs, and I want to get to the East. I know we've got talks of Alabama, Georgia. We actually moved into the North New England area. Got a couple clubs going on there. Got a couple in Ohio, but we're east of Texas, but we're a long way from reaching what I plan to reach and the growth that I plan to commit to.
So give it time. Lend a hand if you can, is what I heard there.
I like it. I'm here.
All right. So Pete, we're gonna, you know, we've taken up about an hour and a half of your time now, so we're gonna work to wrapping up. But we should definitely do this more often than every 15 months. I'm thinking like the pace you're moving, we're gonna have to start moving to like quarterly, so we can all keep pace with what's going on in USSL and UML. So anytime you want to come back, man, just you got my number, hit me up, and we'll get you back on here. But I want to talk shift gears once again, and let's talk about the future of USSL. Take a step back. What's the master plan here for USSL, UML, URL, UPL, and the MIP program?
Well, I think my club runs every single Saturday and every single Sunday. And a couple of years ago, we were running at multiple clubs around the Valley, and having the ability to put all the rule sets, all the divisions and everything under one roof where shooters could get involved in the sport. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be outlaw and there's always going to be the other pistol organizations. But if a club like an ETTS who runs our pistol and runs our rifle and runs our multi-gun, their members now can start to understand 100% what they're getting into every week that they come to those matches, and not having to read 5 different rule books and make phone calls to the match director, which I get on a regular basis. Are we allowed to do this? Are we not allowed to do that? What are we allowed to do at your match? Yeah, there is a rule book, but a lot of times if I know them and they want to ask the question, my master plan, my grand scheme would be if clubs wanted to be a part of multiple entities and they wanted to run a lot of different things for their shooters, but they wanted to all to sort of flow under the same rules, same style, same divisions, same scoring. That's what the USSL offers. Sure, there's always going to be places where you can go shoot a USPSA Saturday and an IDPA next Sunday and an outlaw carbine on the next weekend, or a steel or whatever, Tuesday night steel match. But if all that was the same, that would be better for everybody. It would be better for the clubs, better for the shooters, better for the sponsors, and it would be easier for new people to get involved in the game and understand what they were dealing with. So that's my big picture. Obviously, I'd love to move my major matches around the country. I'd love to have major matches in the other leagues, and I'd love to be able to travel more and assist clubs in growing their club in our organization.
As you were talking there about like the different clubs having different matches, I think one of the issues that comes into play as far as growth is likely there's a dude that runs the USPSA match, a dude that runs the IDPA match, a dude that runs the precision match, a dude that runs the 3-gun match, and they may never even speak to each other. So just that cross-pollination within a like a gun club of the 3-gun club, of the pistol club, of the rifle club. Just that is like a hurdle to overcome as well.
100%. It may be impossible, and I'm not saying that any of those leagues or entities need to go away. But when you got an ETTS where Sky's on the property and she calls you up and she says, "Come on out here, tour our property, let us know what we can do, help us out, answer questions," and then she's running a pistol and a rifle and a multi-gun, and I think she runs a traditional multi-gun and an expedition multi-gun.
Yes.
So here's the same situation that's going
Different
on.
weekends.
You know, my club runs URL close, URL mid, 2 USLs a weeknight match, UPLs, UMLs, and USPSA. So my club's doing as much as we can for our local shooters to give them the opportunity to play the games. Honestly, if I could get somebody to run an IDPA, I probably would. I'm just too busy now to go become an IDPA sanctioned guy-ish, whatever that is. So, I mean, I would do it. It supports shooting, but yeah, that's my big thought. And it probably just stems from my little club that runs every week, and a club like ETTS who can now offer that up. Is it going to happen in my lifetime? Probably not, but I'm here to help if people want.
Great. I love it. Adam, do you have a final thought? Anything you want to ask Pete before we go here?
No, I'm good. He answered all my questions. I'm scared what he's going to think of next for SHOT Show.
Well, Pete, man, this has been a great time, dude. I really appreciate you coming on the show, talking to us about the Wyoming Governors match. I'm looking forward to shooting the match. Again, this is my 3rd year doing so looking forward to seeing what you're putting on the ground. Pumped to shoot Surefire World Multi-Gun Championship this year. I think I'm going to shoot Trad Natties as well as any other UML, USSL club matches I can get in. So I know, we always thank like one dude. We always thank the match director, and there's like a ton of other people behind the scenes. So thank you and your team for putting all this together. And it's this type of vision is huge, and it's a big undertaking. So glad you're doing it, because it would make me vomit thinking about doing this. So
well, thanks,
Pete.
guys.
Thanks for.
I know I'll give Adam a little taste. He's talking about what I'm doing next, but I will let you know next year at Expedition there'll be a rifle-only division. URL's coming to Expedition.
Oh,
you signed me up already, right?
Yeah, so there'll be standing multi-gun divisions, and it goes back to that thing we were talking about. Maybe there's too much going on, but ultimately, if I could provide the sponsors with a match that had, realistically, what if I could put on a match that had 1,000 shooters? They were all shooting pistol, rifle, steel, shotgun, multi-gun, like everywhere. That would be a pretty good event. And it's not possible in multi-gun. There's not enough multi-gunners to travel to one location to do that. Not yet. So maybe bringing rifle only into the Expedition match might bring in a whole nother flavor to see what multi-gun looks like. So we'll see.
Dude, there's so many dudes out there, and ladies with AR-15s too. And yeah, just a one gun match, man. That sounds like fun.
Yep, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Don't shoot the knockdowns. We'll lay them down for you. Shoot everything else. Simple.
All right, guys. One final thought or piece of advice for the audience before we go here, and we'll say goodnight.
My final thought?
Yeah.
If you don't make it to Wyoming this year, we're going to miss the heck out of you. And we're already discussing a 2020 with a whole new deck of cards. It's going to be awesome. But this year's match will be one of the best things I've ever put on the ground. So if you can make it. And if not, we're going to miss you, and we'll see you next year.
Awesome. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Pete.
So, yes, sir.